Ellen Shane, the founder of the Emily Shane Foundation. So thrilled to have you joining us today. Ellen, would you tell us a little bit, please? What is the Emily Shane Foundation and why was it founded?
I'm happy to tell you, and thank you so much for doing this and helping me out. The Emily Shane Foundation was founded actually, we started in the spring of 2012. The foundation was created when I became aware of a tremendous gap in our educational system. Our youngest child, Emily, struggled in school, and she fell into that gray area where she didn't need special ed. She had a really hard time in the mainstream classroom. Emily was tragically murdered in April of 2010. And while we had to endure 2 years of court, when that was over, I really felt compelled to do something in her memory that would help other people and that would have been significant to her. And so this foundation was created. And basically what we do is we take kids like Emily, kids in the mainstream middle school classroom, but unlike Emily, we focus on underserved kids, kids who have no recourse when they're in the mainstream and they are not doing well. And most of these kids are from disadvantaged backgrounds, and they're at sites now all across Los Angeles. And what we do is we provide them with an individual mentor/tutor who works with them throughout the school year and helps them. It's a very comprehensive program. It's not just tutoring. Yes, that's part of what they do. It's also mentorship. It's also focusing on organizing, learning how to organize, submitting work, all of that, and of course, study skills as well. So it's a very comprehensive. A middle school teacher who taught for over 40 years helped me put it together. And the name of the program is called the SEA or C program, and it stands for Successful Educational Achievement. For obvious reasons, I just want to say, for obvious reasons, this program is very dear to my heart.
You know, I've seen and heard from some of the students who have benefited from the C program because of the Emily Shane Foundation. Can you tell us very briefly some of their stories? Because some of them, gosh, they were barely getting a D. Some of them were getting an F in school. And the mentorship and the tutoring and the relationships brought these students to a whole different level. Can you talk to us about that?
I'd love to. And actually, that's really our impact, is that we aim, anyone coming into our program has at least one failing grade. So, and possibly more. They're often dealing with home life or social issues. Some of these kids have no one at home even motivating them to do well in school. Some of these kids have no one looking at them and saying, you know, you matter and I care about you, or you can do this. Every kid needs to hear that. So when a student comes into the program, just as you were saying, they're provided that caring, individualized support, how they learn, what's going on in their life. And just as an example, some of the dire circumstances during the pandemic when some of these children were evicted, even homeless. These are children who sometimes have a parent in prison, both parents in prison, not living with parents. And really the secret to the success of the program, as you alluded to, is the mentorship component. Because what happens is when you have someone who's there for you, who cares about you, who's invested in you, and often kids come in with a very negative attitude. Oh, my parents signed me up. I don't want to do this. Or I don't care about school. But we really find in general that kids, even who come in like that, will turn it around over time. I have so many stories in my head that I can think of from very simple things where, you know, it's what happens is a lot of these kids give up on themselves and they think they can't do it, whether it's a specific subject or something more. Some of them are way below grade level, but the truth is they are capable. They've just never had the right help. So when someone steps in and gives them that help, it's amazing what it can do, because when you get a taste of, oh, I can actually do this, I understand this now, it really takes off. And so many kids, I just think of one example now of a student. I remember his first name, Tanyan. not only was he not doing well, there were dire home life circumstances, with a very ill parent, his mother, who was immobile, and an aged dad. And when I met him, he literally was folding in on himself. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He displayed everything about him. You could see that he was suffering on many levels. And I will never forget the contrast to when the end of the school year came, and we had this little gathering, and his mentor tutor, he walked in and she was there, and he lit up. And when he spoke, he stood tall and proud. All his grades had gone up, but even more so, I saw the change in his whole demeanor and feeling about himself. I cannot tell you what that does for me, because, I'm often working in the background and running this thing and doing it's a lot of work, a tremendous amount of work, actually. But it's amazing to me that just one example like that is, I call it fuel for my soul, really. It's amazing. And that's really why I'm so driven in this mission. Number one, there's a huge need. There even was a need before the pandemic. Number two, while it started as a great way for me to cope with grief, the truth is what drives me now is seeing these students improve, succeed. And improvement isn't always grades. Yes, our aim is that they at least pass their classes. Improvement to me is a change in motivation, a change in attitude, a change in their self-worth, the image they have of themselves, or their self-esteem. It's quite remarkable, and it's life-changing for some of them. And I just want to say also that middle school is a critical time. I chose middle school because Emily was in middle school. But the truth is, what a great time when kids are still young enough that you can really reach them, that if they don't know how to multiply, which we have kids like this, or if they were at a third grade reading level, you can get them up to speed. If you tried to do that when they're in high school, it's not that you couldn't, it would be much harder because of the pace and the level of material and whatnot. If they don't know how to write an essay and they're starting ninth grade. So I really feel this is a key time to reach a student, to reach a child who's at that level of failing and giving up, and empower them so that they indeed can see that path to success, that opportunity. And why is this so important? I ask the kids that, and they all know. They answer a questionnaire when they start. Why is doing well in school important? They all know. They all write for my future, to get a good job, to go to college. But the truth is, whatever their path is, in this day and age, you need to finish middle school and high school at the minimum, whatever you're going to do. Not everyone's path is university. We'd like them to see that as an option. And even some of our mentor tutors are university students who tell me, I was that kid. And they're often on some sort of scholarship or work study arrangement because they, like the students in our program, come from financially disadvantaged backgrounds. But I want them to see that anything is possible.
Tell me, if you will, briefly, how would this grant help your organization, and how will you be using the funds before we let you go?
Okay. Well, it would allow us to, ideally, we have wait lists at all sites, but include more students, help more kids who need this, and possibly be able to expand to other sites where there's a need. Because I guarantee you that any middle school, especially a public middle school that you go to, the kids we serve in the communities we serve, there are students who fit our profile in every middle school classroom. And so the funds, this $10,000 grant, would allow us to engage more mentor tutors, the resources on the front lines who work with these students, so that we can help as many children as possible.
I've known you for a long time. You've become a friend of mine since the first time I've interviewed you and your husband about Emily, about the Emily Shane Foundation, and of course the C program. And your work is spectacular. I've seen firsthand the work that you do with these students. I've witnessed it myself. So bravo to all of you for turning a terrible tragedy into something that will last forever. So thank you so much for doing this, Ellen, and of course, your husband, Michelle. Thank you for what you do for the community. And I really believe you deserve this grant more than anything. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity and for helping me, because I felt so awkward just talking into a camera, but speaking with you makes it so easy. I really appreciate it. You've been wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're going to be posting this on our YouTube, on our Facebook, on Instagram, and everywhere else. We're going to be cutting up little promos because I think this is so important. And anything we can do to help, it would be our honor. So thanks so much. Bye-bye.